Hello. We are back tonight with our opossum that we sculpted last week. Here, let me change the... So we're going to be painting him tonight. I did do a post on multiple platforms asking for name suggestions, and I got quite a few. It's going to be hard to pick because I liked a lot of them. Even some of the ones that didn't follow the trying to pick a name with the letter P. I got some really good ones. I think somebody said Archibald, I believe, on Instagram. Someone who follows me a lot. And I kind of liked that one, even though it didn't really have the letter P in it, but I did really like it. The one I saw the most was probably Percy and Perry. The only issue with Perry is that it makes me think of the cartoon character, Perry the Platypus, which I honestly don't even know what that's from. But it's such a meme at this point that I'm reluctant to choose that one for that reason. So I'm leaning toward Percy, but someone else, I think it was on TikTok, said Opie, and I kind of like Opie a lot too, because technically this is it is an opossum rather than just a possum. In America, especially in Appalachia, we tend to use the terms interchangeably, but I think technically he's an opossum, not just a possum. Because the possum looks a little bit different. Oh, that's just a notification. The possum is the Australian one, or the one that appears in Oceania. Basically, total different continent. They're very similar, but they look different. But this is definitely the American one. But yeah, so I'm leaning toward Percy or maybe Opie, because then it would be Opie the Pilot Opossum, and I think that's pretty catchy. Or Percy the Pilot Possum. So it's probably going to be one of those two. As always, I started with the base coat already being done just because it takes forever to dry, and I know my first couple recorded videos I did, it was incredibly boring, for me at least, to do all the editing of just very boring painting a solid color and then waiting for it to dry, so I always do the base coats ahead of time. I gotta pull up my references here. Okay, so his face should be white. The rest of his body's going to be black, like with salt and pepper tinged, and then pink little nose and fingers. So yeah, we're going to have to layer the white here. Comes down on his chest just a little bit. Not a whole lot. Okay. No, I know I talked about the potential of a mishap of him falling over in the oven. He did, and I had to fix his feet. They broke off. I had to reattach them, sand them down a little bit, reattach them, and I used some resin to rejoin them, some UV resin that I had. So stuff like that's usually fixable. It was a dumb thing on my part because I knew it was a possibility, and then he was standing up so well, I was like, I don't need to prop him up, he'll be fine. And then he wasn't. He was fine for like the first 5 minutes. I kept checking him, and I'm like, okay, he's good now. Then as soon as I went away, apparently he flopped over, and his feet and legs got bent forward. So I had to fix that. But yeah, it was fixable. So not the end of the world, but it was a little frustrating because I knew it would happen. And I was just like, nah, it's probably fine. It never is. Every time I tell myself that, it never is. You think I would learn my lesson, but I really don't. Okay. Okay. Alright, so now we're going to do some black. I need to look at how their ears are. I believe the ears are black. Yes, the ears are completely black. I think. Well, they have little, sometimes they have little white tips. Yes, sometimes they have little white tips, so we'll do that. But they are predominantly black. So we'll do a slightly grayish white tip, but we're going to start with the black base. Because one thing about opossums is they're kind of, their fur is either whitish, grayish, or like a black with almost a salt and pepper look. And I'm going to try to do the black with the salt and pepper because I think I can achieve that pretty well with dry brushing. Because we do the black coat and then we dry brush a little bit of white on top. And that'll give it a really nice look, kind of like salt and pepper hair color that you see. For some reason, I keep thinking today is Saturday. Like, I know it's Friday, but... Alright. And then we're going to do the black on the body. Yeah, some of them are almost a grayish color. Others are black, solid black with like... Well, the faces are always white. But the rest of the body, the color varies a great deal. I imagine it's probably due to like the winter coat versus summer coat. Because the ones I have seen have always been fairly dark. But I've mostly seen them during the summer, to be honest. So, and I'm thinking the grayer ones look like they're in the wintertime. Could also be just a variety difference, I'm not sure. Yeah, this base coat's still a little bit wet, which isn't helping, but it's okay. Oh, he needs a little bit of a dark spot there. So we're getting the base colors down. They're still pretty rough. Let's do some more white. And as always, the goggles and the glass eyes are going to get a little hazed over and messed up. We will easily wash that off with a little water. So it's okay if it gets a little messy. Because the clay is pretty porous, but the obviously the glass is not. And acrylic paint does not really stick to glass unless you put some sort of primer on it that causes that to adhere very well. So all right. Let's see. How pink? Their nose is pretty pink. It's pretty cute too. Let's do this pink. Should be the right color, I think. Rhyme not intended. All right. I'll start layering some of the colors. Just a little bit of the pink there. We'll go back over and do the hands a little better. I just want to start getting some of that color on there. I feel like the little pink toes make him so much cuter. That's one of the things I love about them. They have such bright pink little toes. So cute. I almost caught a baby possum once. I was out gardening one day, and teeny tiny little guy. He couldn't have been very old. He was big enough to be on his own, but he was little tiny. I got really close to him, and then he got scared and ran away. But he was so cute. It's probably good I didn't catch him because I don't know what I would have done with him if I did catch him. But he was so cute. I just wanted to pick him up. But yeah, I got like a foot away, and then he got scared and ran away. And I didn't want to chase him, so. But yeah, they're really good. A lot of people here don't like possums, and I don't know why, because they're so good for the environment. I think I rambled about this last week when I was sculpting the first part of this video, or this figure. And so many people here hate opossums, and I just don't understand it, because they're so good for the environment. Well, for getting rid of like bugs and insects that cause diseases, and you know, they're so great for that, and I don't understand the vitriol against them. And they're cute. They're so adorable. Everyone who says they're ugly just always posts pictures of them hissing and looking angry. It's like, well, of course, if you looked angry too, you wouldn't look very nice either. Alright, so he's coming together a little bit. This is just the base. It's still pretty rough. I could go ahead and start to do some white on the collar here. Some on the bomber jacket. Just a little bit. I think I'm going to make it more of a tan so that it contrasts a bit with his white fur. And they often are like a tan or a beige color, the fur on these bomber jackets, at least the ones I've seen. So, okay, let me grab, yeah, like this color. Let's use this. It's the thing I love about dry brushing is that once you get a good base coat, gradually adding layers of color with dry brushing makes it incredibly easy to make a fairly detailed looking um, texture and variation. And mostly that's just because we took the time to make texture when we were sculpting, and then we got a dark base coat and we gradually add the lighter colors. I think that always looks better because that's only like two or three things of paint and it already has a decent amount of texture on it. So somehow I moved my chair away. All right, now let's see. Should probably go over the face with some white again. Let's get a different brush. Okay. Yes, and they do commonly have the little tinges of white on the ear tips, so. Yeah, I think that's good for the white here. I like this little guy already. He's making me happy. Alright. Just tinge the ears with a little bit of white here on the tips. Alright. We still have to wait for the rest of this black that we did to dry because we may need to do a little more. So let's see, we could probably start on the jacket, which the jacket is supposed to be this color brown, but I would like to do some variations in brown. I think I want a different brush though. I think I want to do it pretty thickly here. Like this. Okay. All right. All right. We added some extra color to the jacket. I feel like the gloves should be a different color because that might add like a little bit of variation that I don't have otherwise. Let's add some additional pink to the nose. There we go. Paint his little fingies. He's looking pretty good, I think. Still pretty rough. Still got to do a lot, but yeah, I'm thinking I should make the gloves like a little pop of color. Yellow or blue, perhaps? I'm not sure. All right. Now we also need to do the tail. And the tail is usually a darker... not always. Hold on. Yeah, it's usually like... we'll do the pink initially, and then we'll go over it with a light beige-ish color because the tail's a little darker than the rest, typically. So I think doing the pink and then going over it in a beige would kind of get that effect. Because it's a little closer to like my skin tone instead of this bright pink, but some of them do have very bright pink noses. So depends a little on the camera, the lighting, all of that as well. Okay. All right, so that looks pretty rough, but that's fine. That's not going to be the final color. That's just the start. All right, now let me think. What color gloves could we give him? We could do a blue because he's already got the goggles here and that would kind of give us an additional color. Or we could do yellow to kind of tie in the eyes. Let's go with yellow because I think we're going to do gold for some of the metal pieces, or a brassy color. So yeah, let's go with yellow. I think that's going to work. Kind of an off yellow. Let's see how this goes. Okay. I need to get better at holding this clearly in front of the camera. Going through and editing my own videos has taught me a lot about stuff that I need to improve. I am still, as ever, working on the audio. It is greatly improved, but it's still messed up. There's still times where I'm like, that sounds staticky, that sounds too loud. I'm having a tough time with that. It's gotten better. I've done some research, but yeah, a lot of the video stuff, it's like I put this the silicone mat with the bear in the center so that I could have an easy guideline for where the camera is focused. And I still, force of habit, want to pull things back toward me. You know, I should have given this guy a little scarf. That would have been cool. So yeah, I'm trying to get better about that. It's like I have to constantly remind myself to move it out here because it's more comfortable to paint a little closer to me. So I have to fight the instinct to pull things toward myself. Alright. So that's a start on the gloves. So now that we have that, I think we'll take this lighter brown and start doing some shading here. I need to refill this. Some shading here, like on the jackets. Add some layers of texture. Make it look more leathery. Okay. I'm not sure how well this picks up on camera because it's pretty mild. Sometimes things look brighter on camera and sometimes they look less. I will say, I think in general the figures look better on camera than they do in person. Sometimes, or at least on the video, and then they look worse in pictures than they do in person, which is kind of weird. I don't know why that is. I think the camera just doesn't pick up on subtle details or subtle mistakes. But here, if I lift it closer, and this one's, it's a lot better camera. You can kind of see that I'm adding some texture or different colors of brown. So I'm adding shading, I guess, technically. Here, let's darken that up a little bit. Okay. Okay. And then it kind of brings out the crevices I did on the cloth, the crevices, the, what's the word I'm looking for? Wrinkles. It brings out the wrinkles that I did on the cloth. Okay. Okay, there we go. All right. There we go. So I feel like that's good for the jacket texture. Because leather kind of has that mottled look to it. I think that looks good. Alright, so that has given the yellow enough time to dry that I can bring out our brighter yellow and go over it with this. Alright, let's put this up here. Get some new brushes. Did I use this one? No, okay. Alright, let's do a little bit more on the pink. Yeah, I find this tends to look best if you do multiple light layers. Some of this is probably because the paints I have are kind of cheap. Someday I might buy myself nicer paints. It's just I use so much that I don't want to waste money on it, you know? Because, like, if these work well enough, then we just keep using them. They may not be the best, but they work. And for most stuff, they're fine. You take your time. I do think the lighter colors tend to be harder to work with. I don't know why. I especially have troubles with whites. So I always have to do the white in multiple layers because solid white things just tend to not do that great with these paints. I'm using Apple Barrel. The darker paints are great. I see no difference with those. But I will say some of the other whites that I've had in the past are a little better. I should probably just get, you know, more expensive paints of specific colors that I have issues with. But Apple Barrel just has such good deals on paints. Like, they keep them very inexpensive, which is great. And most of them work pretty well. I think it's the orange, the light oranges that I had issues with, and then I don't know why. I don't know why it's specific pigments, but the white orange and then the white orange and what's the other one? There's another one that I have difficulty with, and I can't think of what it is right now. Alright. We're getting pretty far with our little guy here. He's pretty cute. We got to do the helmet. That's the main thing here. And then we do need to cover the tail with a little bit more of a beige tone. No, we're just going with this one because this is the one I get open. That's going to bother me. What's the other color that I have difficulty with? Sometimes the yellow, but the yellow's not bad. The yellow's pretty good. The browns are great. All the darker colors are great. Sometimes the lighter purple can be a pain. It's mostly the lighter or brighter colors. I feel like you have to do so many layers of them to get the paint coverage, which some of that's just because I think the color is lighter. And I think that's just the nature of it. But a couple of them, also the white tends to go bad faster for some weird reason. I do not know why, but it always feels like the white is always going bad on me. I don't know if it's like the composition of it in some way. It might be. I know some things, pigments can sometimes cause changes in the way paints and other things work. I have such a nightmare with mica powders when I do dice and things. Certain mica powders are very finicky, and it's very hard to get certain colors. So I don't know if it's one of those types of situations. I don't know enough about it really, I think, to say much, but I do consistently have issues with white. So I've thought about, you know, I should probably get a different brand of white and then just stick with Apple Barrel for everything else, because they do have the most economical options, and I greatly appreciate that. I feel like so much art stuff is so pricey, and I understand why it's pricey, but it kind of limits me. Because I don't exactly make money doing this, so I make a little bit from dice, but not much. I don't make any from these figurines, I just make them for fun right now. So, yep, the cheaper materials I can use. It's like my favorite clay is actually not the one I'm using. My favorite clay is Fimo Soft specifically. But I don't want to spend the extra money to get Fimo Soft, because I'm going to keep doing so many figurines, and when Sculpey 3 and Sculpey Primo work just fine, you know, it's not worth the extra money. Now, if I did this, I guess, more professionally, probably I would go with Fimo Soft, but I don't know. Hard to say. Alright, there we go. We added some more texture to him. Okay. Now let's start looking at this cap that he's wearing. I think we'll do we'll do the brown in the middle here. Hold on. Like so. But I think I want to do the side pieces a goldish color. Alright, and then we'll do the strap black. I should probably not paint the strap yet. I should probably go ahead and do the cap before I do the strap, because then it's gonna get on it when I finish up. So let's go ahead and do, hold on. I'm getting ahead of myself. We need to go ahead and do the cap here. Oh, this paintbrush is bad. We need to go ahead and do the cap first. Then we will progress to the others. I need to focus on order of operations here, so that I don't have to touch up 50 million things. Sometimes I do things out of order, and by out of order I just mean in a bad order. And then you have to touch up 20,000 things, and it's really annoying. Always start with the lower or deeper pieces. So like if there's crevices or indentations, start with those and then work your way up. So yeah, don't paint the details first. Paint the details last. The more bolded out or 3D something is, it gets done last. I'm going to make that strap a slightly different color. Okay. So now we're going to take the smaller brush here and do the edge. Yeah, I'm really leaning toward Opie for the name. I think I like Opie. It's either that or Percy. I might have to check to see if I can post a poll, because then I could post a poll and let people vote. That'd be fun. I wonder if I can do that on TikTok as well. All right. So I think what we're going to do with these side things here, the little earpieces, they're often darker, but in this case we're going to make them lighter because I just need them to be a contrasting color. Gonna make them this beige color. There we go. That way it stands out. I'm assuming these are actually supposed to be like on your ears, and that does raise a problem of why his ears are outside of his helmet, but it's fine. Don't think about it. He's also standing on two legs and wearing an outfit, so I try not to be too particular with the this doesn't make sense logically kind of stuff. I try to make it make sense, but you know, it doesn't. So it's fine that he doesn't actually have his ears in the little things. Because his ears would not be protected at all. That would be really bad. He would lose his hearing. I think those old planes were quite loud. At least they are in the movies, in the shows that I watch. Alright. So we did that a lighter color. I was also going to do the strap down here a lighter tone. That way we can too much. Contrast it, make it stand out since we have so much leather colors and browns going on here. This will help it stand out a tad. Okay. There we go. Alright. Now I feel like we should go ahead and do some of the color on the helmet. I'll blend that in here. Okay, and I will have to touch that up a little bit, but it's fine. Okay. So now, let me fix this piece a little bit. Now we're going to do some of the metallic colors. Oops. I like this because it's it can be gold or brass colored. It works for both. Um, all right, there we go. And all right. Let's go back here. We got some little buckles to do it back here, little buttons. And some buckles. And I need to make this strap also a different color, or it won't show up properly. Alright, let me grab one of my other small brushes. That is also, I need to go through my brushes again and throw out the ones that are trash. I keep breaking them. I keep letting them stiffen up and not cleaning them properly. I go through so many brushes because I don't remember to take care of them. It's my own fault, and for some reason I never throw them out. I just always pull them out and I'm like, well, that brush doesn't work. I do the same thing with pens. I never remember to throw away bad pens. There we go, you can see the buckle on the back of his head. Alright, so now we are going to go ahead and do that strap that I'd started. I'm going to finish that strap up. Like so. Okay. There we go. We are almost done with our little guy. All right. I want to go over the gloves again. Yeah, let's go over the gloves again, but let's go back over it with the... Ah, I didn't mean to lose that. There we go. Let's go back over it with the yellow color. The more orangey yellow, rather. Oop, that's too much. That's too much color. Let's spread it out a little bit. There we go. Let's add a little yellow tone to this strap. I'm just trying to make this strap stand out a little so that it looks different than the rest of the there we go. Different than the rest of him. Okay. Now what else can we do real quick? Well, I can clean the eyes up a bit. Okay. Alright, is there anything else I was supposed to do? Oh, I was going to go over these side pieces just to make them a little bit more contrasted, the little earpieces that he's not using. Because they're a little too close in color to the rest. So we're going to make it a little brighter, just a little bit. Alright, there's a white spot I need to touch up. And then I think... do a little more white on the face. But I think ultimately we are finished. I will ultimately choose the name when I do the video, the final video for this guy, the minute edit. I am really leaning toward Opie. I do really like that one. But I did see a lot of Percy, like I said. So if I can make a poll, I will. If not, I will probably just choose Opie the opossum and go with that. I didn't exactly follow the rules because it technically starts with an O. But then again, I wasn't really calling the possum correctly. So, you know, it works. Anyway, let me see here. I think we're all good. I think he is finished. You can see the details on his head. The back there. You can see the side view. You can see, there we go, his little hands. But yeah, there's our little pilot possum who will be named probably tomorrow when I do the final video. But yes, it's going to be either Percy or Opie unless somebody comes up with an amazing suggestion between now and tomorrow. If you watch this video, I greatly appreciate it. Please let me know what you would like to see me sculpt next. I love doing little animals, cryptids. I do some fan art. I do try to read all the suggestions, and anything I feel like I could do, I will do. I've done a couple fan art pieces that people have requested when I did some video game ones. So I'm very open to suggestions, and somebody requested, for example, the Wendigo, and I did that. That was a lot of fun. I do a lot of mythology stuff, or even just little animal guys like these. I've been wanting to sculpt a little mole for something, but I don't know what exactly I want him to be. But if you did watch this, I do greatly appreciate it, and I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful morning or night.